Yo, hello everybody and welcome back yet again to another daily update video. My name is CryptoStash and I hope you're having an amazing new week. Currently it is Monday and let's get right into the charts for Bitcoin, since as of right now we do have our new weekly pivot levels and currently Bitcoin is testing that POC where most of the range is sitting in this, where most of the volume is sitting in this range, basically in this consolidation. So right now we are currently in a very key support zone. Basically Bitcoin needs to hold that POC, and if we lose that POC then we need to hold that very low for potential continuation to the upside basically. And if we look on a hard time frame like the daily, you can see the price is still chopping right here, having fake out and currently still in a downtrend if we draw a trend line basically from the top right here. So we need to see Bitcoin create push above 120k and close a candle above here in order, as you can see, to switch this trend basically to break out of this consolidation that is currently trending downwards, basically downwards and sideways. We need to see a breakout of here in order to break that structure and for Bitcoin to continue pushing hard. Now we do have 3 days left until we get another monthly candle open, basically new monthly open. That would be, in my opinion, potentially bearish for the price, since if we look at the weekly, as I said, we are still consolidating and the RSI momentum is still overbought on the weekly. Not exactly overbought like we were overbought right here the last time, but we are still pretty close to that 80 line and it is possible to potentially get some kind of correction once we open a new monthly candle, since you can see we do have, let me measure it from April until now, we have basically 91, so 4 months of only bullish candles. So it is possible that we get a red candle soon, since as I said, it is very possible that we get some kind of bigger correction like we got right here. Basically you can see 17%, and right now Bitcoin is currently pushing still in that range, pushing hard. But once we get that August candle opened, it is possible that we can get some kind of retracement potentially down to that body of this right now, the July candle, which would take us down to 107k, which would basically still be pretty nice. It won't be that much lower. So as I said, I am still expecting higher price targets since everything is looking pretty nice. The altcoins, Ethereum is right now currently sitting at a very key resistance. Basically if we draw that trend line from here, from the actual all-time high that was 4 years ago, this is basically a 4-year trend line resistance for Ethereum. So if Ethereum manages to break out of here and flip this as support, then we will potentially see the all-time high from 4 years ago for Ethereum, or potentially even $5,000 for Ethereum, which would be pretty insane in my opinion, and also pretty possible since as I said, once we break out of here this 4-year resistance, then we can pretty much take out the all-time high, which is basically all the way from November 2021, which is 4 years ago. And this is actually insane in my opinion. Now for Solana is still pretty nice to buy and is still far away from the all-time high. You can see sitting right here at the range highs, basically a bit above the range highs. Let me just draw it a bit more like this. So basically you can see we are still above the range high for Solana, currently testing that weekly pivot, and right now we are actually trading below it. But if we can see some kind of a test basically of that value area high and then a reclaim of the weekly pivot, then we can potentially see higher price targets for Solana, since the monthly of Solana is actually still looking pretty nice and potentially has more room to the upside. Sui on the other hand has had a massive monthly candle, and if we look on the weekly, we had 4 weekly candles in a row, so right now we are having some kind of a small correction. So it is possible that Sui can get some kind of a bigger retracement, potentially down to 369 again or something like this. But as of right now, momentum is still pretty strong to the upside, so I would suggest not to short these moves. Basically, hype is also currently regaining momentum. Basically, you can see that the uptrend has still not been broken. Basically, after this bottom that we made right here at $9 for hype, it has grown massively, almost 420%, and right now is still in that very strong uptrend. Also, the stock market is currently getting some kind of a correction as well, basically from that second weekly pivot resistance, and in my opinion we are going to test the weekly pivots. Basically, that will take us, if we get down there, like 1% of a correction, which is actually not that much, but still that would be some kind of correction for the stock market. On the daily, you can see we are still keeping that bullish trend to the upside, and if we enable the yearly pivots, we still have a potential push to until we get to basically 7,000 for the S&P 500, which would be 8.5% move to the upside, which would be actually very nice for Bitcoin. And in my opinion, once the S&P 500 reaches there, Bitcoin will be well over 150,000 US dollars, or maybe even 200,000, since the S&P 500, when it has a small move like this, Bitcoin tends to pump very strong to the upside. You can see we have had from that bottom that we made 56% of a pump, while the stock market from that bottom has had 32%, so 20% more for Bitcoin. Basically, this is why I like Bitcoin: more volatility, more gains, and something that we need to take in consideration right now is that the dollar is pumping here, having some kind of a bearish bullish divergence, and right now, if the dollar finds a bottom right here at the last yearly support, then it is possible that we'll see some kind of a bigger correction for the stock market or even for Bitcoin, since, as I said, we need the dollar to remain weak in order for Bitcoin to be stronger in these markets right now. So if we look at the liquidation heat map for the 24 hours for Bitcoin, right now Bitcoin has liquidity on both sides. Currently it has taken out the liquidity basically at the weekly pivot, and the range POC right now still has a bit more liquidity to the downside at 117k, but majority of the liquidity is still sitting above basically 120,000 all the way up to 122,000, and we even have liquidity all the way up to 124,000, which is basically new all-time high territory. So still pretty nice to see that. Let's look at some other altcoins. I think BNB just made a new all-time high, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, exactly. BNB keeping that uptrend. You can see higher highs all the way up right here, and currently BNB has hit $860, and the target for this year would be $1,100 for BNB, which would be pretty insane, since if I remember correctly, if we go on the monthly, BNB was as low as $220 right here. We don't talk about the before the bull run of 2021, basically in 2020 to 2090, where it was only $16 to $20 right now, but still last year or in 2023 it was all the way down to 215 basically in the bear markets, and then last summer it was basically down to $400, which is basically, if we measure it from down there, 110% of a growth. And basically BNB has been a massive performance coin, and right now it is pushing and potentially will push all the way up to the 1,000 zone, which would be pretty insane for BNB. But as you know, Binance is still growing, and so is BNB. That's their token. And if we look at the Fear and Greed index, right now we are still sitting in that greed zone. Since we are consolidating right now, not much of moves are happening. We are still sitting in that 67 greed zone for Bitcoin. And if you look at the funding rates for the major exchanges, they are still positive and low. So this also suggests to me that the trend is still to the upside. As you know, we want to see the funding rates remain lower and positive, basically, for more continuation on the markets. Also, if we look at the long versus shorts ratio on the day, you can see right now we do have more sellers in the market. Since we are consolidating in that range, people are actually shorting that range, and this is also, in my opinion, why this range would break to the upside, since people are stacking their short positions right here and they are expecting the price to dump. Now it might happen, but in my opinion, if many people and retail traders keep shorting here, they will get squeezed firstly to the upside before having a actual bigger retracement to the downside, basically to 107k, which is the POC of the last range where we broke out of. And so yes guys, that will be it for today's update video. I hope you liked it. Subscribe for the channel, remember to follow me on X, and also remember to trade on KSX with basically 0 fees on spot and 0 maker and 0.01 taker fees on future. You can sign up using my link in the description, or you can use the code right here. And thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time. Bye.